Hey guys, today we are taking a look at Sylvanas Windrunner from the World of Warcraft universe. It's made by Blizzard Collectibles and costs 350 US dollars. On the left side of the box is a symbol of the Horde, and on the back side of the box is a full body art print of Sylvanas, which flows onto the right side of the box, and some flavor text. Here's a closer look at the flavor text. You will notice running along the right edge is a faint print of her name. The box itself is quite large, with its dimensions being 64 by 58 by 30 centimeters and weighs about 8.7 kilograms. Finally, here is a quick shot of the box beside an Xbox controller for scale. This is how Sylvanas is packaged once unboxed. Most of the bigger components are just wrapped with plastic, while the smaller, more fragile components have their own plastic shell. Here's a closer look at that plastic shell, which I think is a really good way of packing. A one-page assembly guide has also been provided in the box. The first thing you will want to put down is the base, and on the base itself are two holes and a slot where Sylvanas's feet will slot into. Next, you will want to slot the main body into the base. Because the right foot has a peg and an extrusion, this part will only fit in one orientation. I found that quite a bit of force was also required to get this part in. The next part that goes on is the cape. There is a magnet on the side that will slot onto the back of Sylvanas. This part will fit on quite easily. Then you will want to attach the straps of the quiver. This will slot into the side of the cape from the back, as well as onto her right shoulders from the front. Next, attach her shoulder pads, which are marked left and right on the plastic shell that holds them. There are magnets to help keep this in place. Next, attach her face to the body by slotting it into the square slot where the neck is. Then you will want to attach the left hand that is holding the bow. Note that the bowstring here is elastic. Simply attach this to the bottom of her left wrist. Then comes the most fiddly part. At least I found that to be the case on my figure. Attaching the arrow to her right hand. I ended up breaking two of the arrows since her fingers were too tight for the arrows to just slip into. So you want to be really careful here. Thankfully, Blizzard has included 3 arrows. I ended up removing the left hand to fit the arrows through her fingers before then reattaching the left hand. Once you have done this, simply place the bowstring over the arrow to keep it in place. The final part of the assembly is to put the quiver in place. Note that the arrows in it can move around ever so slightly. Similar to some of the other components, there is a magnet to hold this in place. Here is Sylvanas fully assembled. Since Blizzard only provides her height of 46 centimeters, her approximate width and depth are 31 by 28 centimeters. She also weighs about 5.3 kilograms. Here's a quick shot of Sylvanas beside an Xbox controller for scale. Looking at the base, you can see that the paint application on the stones look really good, with the green moss standing out to make it really look like some ruins that she's standing on. The paint application on her boots look really cool as well. You can see that it does kind of look like leather, and her right foot is kind of digging into the rocks over there. Her leg armor is really well done. You'll notice there are cracks all over, especially in the knee guards. The silver accent helps it stand out. And if you look from the back, you'll find that there are leather straps kind of holding this shin guard together, which is a cool touch. Here's a closer look at the thigh area. You can see that all the leather parts look really good, looks really like leather, and all the rivets on the right thigh as well as on the belt buckle really stand out. The paint on the chainmail is also immaculate, allowing you to make out all the links that it has. A quick peek at the rear shows similar level of detail in all the rivets as well as the leather. Moving on to the cape, you will find that it has tears which simulate the worn out look. This is especially prominent near the ends of the cape, where it does look really worn out. You will also find that the gold trim along the side of the cape is done really neatly, and there's no gold paint where it shouldn't be. Attached to her back is the excellent looking quiver with 6 arrows in it. The paint job on the quiver here is excellent, with all the tiny details clearly visible, such as the skull and silver linings throughout the quiver. Looking at her hands and arms, you will find that the armor here has really good paint application on it, with clearly visible cracks, similar to what you can find on the leg armor. The emerald, I believe, is also really neatly done. Besides that, the leather bits look really good, especially her gloves, as well as the straps that hold the wrist guard together. And you can also find a very nicely detailed chainmail on her arms. Here's another quick shot at the leather guard from her right arm. Here's a look at her chest armor, where you can see Blizzard paid similar level of attention to detail here. Notice how you can differentiate where it looks more leather-like as you get towards her stomach area. Similar to most of the leather bits, there appear to be no flaws in the quiver strap. If you look from the right side of her body, you can see that the paint job here really makes it look as if they are all different materials. There's also some nice little touches like the rivets or metal parts, as you can see. The shoulder pads really show why Blizzard is king in the epic shoulder pad game. There are 3 skulls on each side, painted with similar level of detail as that on her quiver. There are also really finely painted feathers towards the bottom of the shoulder pads, emphasizing her agility. Looking at her face, Blizzard has done a really good job here with the sculpt. I think she looks spot on to what Sylvanas looks like from the games. The paint job here is also really nicely done, especially around her eyes and lips. Similarly, I think her hair looks really cool with that simulated wind-blown effect. Her hood has that familiar purple color with neatly done gold trimmings around the front of the hood. Note that my figure has some white paint on her nose, which I will hopefully be getting a replacement from Blizzard for. Finally, we come to the bow that she's wielding, which I think may be one of the most impressive things about this figure. You can see that it is constructed of some bone material with 2 really impressive large horns along each side. You'll find that the corners of each bow is a skull of some sort. Kind of looks like they're wearing helmets. Here's another inner look at the bow, where you can clearly see that it is constructed of some sort of spine, maybe. The paint job on the bone parts of the bow are exceptionally well done, in my opinion. Overall, besides the installation of the arrows being quite fiddly and the white paint on her nose, Blizzard Collectibles has managed to bring to life one of the most popular characters from the Warcraft realm, and they've done so in spectacular fashion. The production value on this piece is top notch, especially for the price that you are paying. If you are a Warcraft fan, you definitely do not want to be missing out on this one. Thanks for watching. If you like this video and want to see more, please click here to subscribe or click here to watch more.